Good evening, everyone. You look good. Thank you. Thank you very much. I need to see you every day. So I'm Dr. Kane, superintendent here in Queen Anne's County Public Schools, and I am just delighted to welcome you tonight. It has been such a wonderful partnership that Queen Anne's County Public Schools has enjoyed with the Kent Island Beach Cleanup. It has been wonderful. It's involved so many people, and probably raise your hand if you've been part of this. So that's pretty much everybody in the room. So this is a celebration of your hard work. So all of the volunteers, our student interns, all of our board members, all of the folks involved. I know we have Chesapeake Bay Trust here, among others. Before we go on, I would like to recognize just a few people, if you'd give me just a moment. First, I'd like to recognize our board member, Ms. Carrie O'Connor. I also have with me our Deputy Superintendent, Mr. Greg Paluski, who supervises all of academics. And in the back here, we have Mr. Michael Page, who supervises science for Queen Anne's County Public Schools. I know that we have several other dignitaries in the room. We have Mr. Jack Wilson standing in the back here, County Commissioner. And several others, and I will certainly have Ms. Weed to introduce others, but I'd just like to recognize you. I see we also have one of our assistant principals, Ms. Kovacs, sitting back here from Mattapique Middle School. But thank you to all of you who are here tonight. I recognize folks from the Economic Development Council and many, many others. Thank you for being here tonight. Our partnership with the Kent Island Beach Cleanup is so important. It helps us. It doubles in the work that we do here in schools to help our students understand exactly how important it is to be good stewards of our environment. We have to do that so that we can preserve our planet, right, for the next generation, and certainly Queen Anne's County Public Schools. So I'd like to thank everyone for the work that you've done. I certainly thank Ms. Weed, Kristin Weed here, for organizing all of this and being just such a wonderful partner. She's coordinated, kept us on track, worked closely with Mr. Page, and we'd just like to thank you. Please give her a round of applause. Lots and lots of hard work has gone into this, and we certainly recognize that. Mr. Wilson sort of introduced me to Ms. Weed, and so I'd like to thank him for that introduction. It's been wonderful. I'm going to move out of the way so that you can get a bit more information from Ms. Weed here. She's got a lot of information to share with you, and then, of course, the grand unveiling that we all can't wait to see. It's been sitting outside of my office for more than 24 hours, and I can't even peek at it. So it's like Christmas. I can't wait for it, but I just wanted to thank you and welcome you. Give honor to our artist, Miss Lucy Krause, who you will hear so much more about. Such a talented artist, and we are just excited to see your work travel to our schools. It is going to be a wonderful, wonderful gift for all of our students and everyone who visits our schools, so thank you for that. And without further ado, Ms. Kristin Weed.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you all for attending tonight. This is really a special moment for Kent Island Beach Cleanups and for Lucy, so we really appreciate that all of you are here today. Hello? No? I am? All right. So, normally I don't do handwritten speeches here or anything, but there's a lot to talk about tonight and a lot of credit to give to a lot of different people in this room and people that aren't here tonight. So just kind of bear with me through my speech, okay? And one thing to mention, so at the end, we're going to have everybody get up and go into the hallway and kind of surround and kind of, you can come on in, and kind of surround the sculpture. And then we'll do the big unveil. And at that time, we can do a Q&A with Lucy, just so you all know. Yeah, come on in, it's okay. All right, so 8 million tons of plastic enters our ocean every year. Every bit of that plastic that has ever been created still exists today. Over the last 10 years, we have produced more plastic than the entire century. Once in the water, plastic never fully biodegrades. It gets smaller and smaller and turns into what we call microplastics, and that's less than 5 millimeters. And that is the most detrimental to our marine life because they ingest it and ultimately die. One single plastic bottle can break up into over 10,000 pieces of that microplastic. Single-use plastics are used for seconds, maybe hours, but their remains last forever. Okay, so this is kind of an analogy I use when we do some presentations, educational presentations with our community and with our local youth. So I try to tell people, think of a leaf, okay? A leaf is a perfect example of a biodegradable product. It's made in spring, used by the plant in photosynthesis in the summer, and drops to the ground in autumn, and is assimilated into the soil to nourish the plant for the following season. Any material that comes from nature will return to nature as long as it is still in a relatively natural form. Therefore, any plant-based, animal-based, or natural mineral-based product has the capability to biodegrade. But products made from man-made petrochemical compounds generally do not. When a man-made compound is formulated in a lab, combinations of elements are made of plastic. They do not exist in nature. So there's no corresponding microorganisms to break them down. So in a nutshell, plastic is not biodegradable. Don't believe the hype. We cannot compare the single-use plastics, or really any plastics that all of us use every single day, to a leaf. So just think about that when you're looking at Lucy's sculpture. So as we prepare to enter our 7th year as Kent Island Beach Cleanups, I really like to reflect on the journey that began in 2012 when my husband John and I moved from the Western Shore. So when we moved over here, we were really looking for public beaches and parks for our family and our dog to enjoy. We weren't going to live waterfront, so we wanted to find a beach to hang out and play. And we found Terrapin. And Terrapin is an amazing place. Terrapin is 276 acres of waterfront, bayfront property here in our county. It's a gem. It has a 3¼ mile oyster trail, and you get a little bit of everything. You get a marsh, you get forest, you get beach. So if you've ever had the pleasure of going there, I don't have to convince you how gorgeous this place is. You already know. And if you haven't been there, you're really missing out, and you should go. So when we went there, from the time that we got out of the car, there was trash everywhere. Down that oyster trail, there was trash. And when we got to the beach, it was even worse. If you saw here in some of our video, you could see some of the trash that was from Terrapin a few years ago. And Terrapin has made great strides, but when we were there, I was really, really upset. And it got to the point, and my husband will tell you, that we couldn't even enjoy a moment there because I was complaining at how bad it was. And so he was like, you got to do something about it. So we started a Facebook page, and that Facebook page led to a website. And then he said, why don't we become a 501c3? And now here we are. 7 years later. It's pretty amazing kind of how this whole thing works out. But we saw a problem and we wanted to fix it, and that's why we're here. So our first main goal was to simply keep our beaches clean by organizing beach cleanups throughout the spring and summer months. Initial success for us was defined by generating positive change in our community, by building awareness of the real pollution issues we face here in Kent Island and abroad throughout the county. As time passed, we recognized that we needed to do two main things in order to be successful. The first one was to partner with local businesses and bars to have them create change with all of their single-use plastics that they use, but also to reach our local youth. And well, now here we are in 2018, and we can now say that we have at least achieved both of those goals, especially this year. Since 2012, we became a 501c3 nonprofit, started a high school leaders in training program. We were awarded 3 grants, this one included. We have held over 80 cleanups, and we have signed over 600 volunteer hours with our students. And we've collected over 140,000 pieces of debris, estimated to weigh about 60,000 pounds. But we're not done yet. So, fast forward to the summer of 2017, where we were approached by the National Aquarium. A little side info, the aquarium became the International Coastal Cleanups with the Ocean Conservancy. They became the state coordinators. Now, the International Coastal Cleanup is an amazing cleanup, and some of you in the room probably are aware of it. But the Ocean Conservancy is a nonprofit in DC, and what they do every September is they have people, individuals, Boy and Girl Scout troops, churches, you name it, they pick a place and they clean it. But they record the trash that they pick up. And this goes into what's called a trash-free seas report. And that report can really be used as ammunition to go to our local politicians and request policy changes. So for instance, here in the county, if you go to a public landing, most likely the problem is going to be fishing. And you'll see a lot of discarded fishing line. You may see some cigarette butts and some beer. You go to Terrapin and you see all kinds of stuff there, actually. You see people bring all different types of stuff out to the beach and they leave it. So my point is that with the Ocean Conservancy, that's how we really got started. And I really built a relationship with the person that was the Maryland site coordinator. Well, it was too difficult for her to handle as time went on because this amazing cleanup grew and grew, so they passed it off to the National Aquarium. And through that, we built a really great relationship with a contact there. And last year, she contacted us and asked us to apply for a mentorship grant with the Chesapeake Bay Trust. Okay? So, come on in. So this particular grant is designed to engage Maryland residents in activities that enhance communities, engage residents, and improve our natural resources. As a part of this grant project, Ken Island Beach Cleanups was mentored by the National Aquarium, providing an introduction to the grant life cycle, allowing underengaged organizations to make a positive impact on their communities and the environment through successfully receiving the trust funding. This was perfect for our organization, yet now we just needed to come up with an actual project idea. Our board and some interns came up with a few ideas and presented them to the trust. Board member Tracy Wilson suggested we create a sculpture from trash, as she saw a small version of one at Sudlersville Elementary School earlier that year. Out of those three project ideas we presented to the trust, they loved the idea of an art sculpture created from collected beach debris. So there we were. Here we had this incredible idea. Now we just needed to find an artist. We were then introduced to Lucy, and it was as if the stars had aligned just right. And perfect timing, too, since she was retiring from a career at the FAA in December, allowing her time to assist us. So a little background on Lucy. As a resident of Maryland for most of her adult life, our artist, Lucy Krause, has an affinity for the beautiful Chesapeake Bay. Her grandfather was an avid bay fisherman and inspired her to appreciate and protect this national treasure. In 2010 through 2014, Lucy volunteered numerous weekends on the restoration of the Thomas Point Lighthouse for the Chesapeake chapter of the United Lighthouse Society. Lucy is a National Association of Underwater Instructors certified scuba diver, has a love for all oceans and their marine life, and has seen firsthand the negative effect of carelessly discarded plastic that end up on the bottom of our oceans. As an artist, Lucy uses many mediums and mostly recently prides herself in welding, forging, and fabricating found metal into freestanding sculptures, which not only become fine works of art, but have added the benefit of keeping discarded metal out of our landfills. Lucy and I then got together and started writing the grant. Time was of the essence, as we needed to not only put our plan on paper, but we needed to get the Board of Education and the county to agree to our plan, and then we had to submit the application all before the due date. And she was still working at the time. A full color concept rendering of the sculpture, Many Hands Protecting Our Chesapeake, was submitted before the Christmas holiday to the Chesapeake Bay Trust. The sculpture is a depiction of many hands pushing debris up from the water of the Chesapeake Bay. The debris evolves upward in the shape of waves embedded in marine life, include a large rockfish as a main element of the sculpture's highest point. The rockfish is struggling to breach the waves because it is entangled in monofilament and fishing nets. The drawing is the artwork of Lucy Krause, and the sculpture concept was a result of a collaboration with assisting Ken Island artist and good friend Patricia McCool of Stevensville, Maryland. Through this incredible opportunity, Ken Island Beach Cleanups wishes to educate the public and our community on the detriment of single-use plastics and other harmful debris and what it has on our ecosystem, the Chesapeake Bay, and surrounding estuaries. We used our successfully established beach cleanups, events, and members of the community, and we aligned them with educational pieces to illustrate to the community a better use of discarded plastics through art creation, rather than carelessly littering our beaches and waterways. The primary goal is to educate the youth on this growing issue, and we hope that it stimulates personal change and individual habits. They are our future, our youth. Although Ken Island and Queen Anne's County is located right on the Chesapeake Bay and other sacred estuaries, many community members, including our students, are not always exposed to the natural resources our county offers. Through engaging variety of members across our community, we are able to improve our environment through this program. These efforts allow us to establish an important big picture goal of reducing marine debris, especially single-use plastics in our Chesapeake Bay critical area. So here we are now, ready to present this incredible piece of artwork to all of you and to our community and to our youth. Can we dim the lights? So just have to try to be a little bit quiet here, guys, because the volume is a little...
When Kristin called me to talk to me about it, described it to me, it was right up my alley. I think it's pretty eye-opening. This debris that the sculpture is made up of is only a small portion of the debris that was cleaned up on one Saturday, one day, on one beach on Kent Island. And in addition to the debris you see that I kind of hand selected for this sculpture, there were big bins, huge bins of bottles and cans and beer bottles and soda bottles and just every kind of garbage you can imagine. It's an awareness that we need to, one, cut back on single-use plastics. All these plastic straws are really not that necessary. The design, actually, the concept was dreamed up by a fellow artist friend of mine, Patty McCool, and we were actually sitting over happy hour one evening, and I had told her about the project, and we had already gotten awarded the grant money from Chesapeake Bay Trust, and the idea is many hands pushing up out of the water of the Chesapeake Bay, pushing up the debris, and then as it evolves up the sculpture, it turns into marine life made out of plastic. The structure is 1/4-inch steel that I actually bent cold and shaped into the wave structure and then welded all the joints together, put it together with coupling so the top third of the structure comes apart so that when we move it to display it, we'll be able to pop off the top, move it, and put the top back on. Unless you've been out to do a beach cleanup with QACPS, you wouldn't have any idea the kind and the numbers of debris that wash up on our beaches.
So that's just a little bit of a preview, guys. Can you flick the lights for me, please? Thank you. Thank you. So just a couple more minutes, and then we'll move into the hallway. I want to give thanks and props to our intern, Faith McCarthy, who created that video. Each of our interns have to do a project, and they can do the project. They can do any type of project that they wish, and so she put this together to film a little documentary on Lucy's work and Lucy's journey. So yes, thank you, Bill. Yeah, our interns are really, really talented with stuff like this. It's amazing. So like Lucy said in that video, you really don't have a good understanding of the types of trash and the amount of trash that we collect until you attend a cleanup. You can talk to anybody in the room here that's been to one cleanup, and they'll probably tell you they look at trash and they look at single-use plastics differently just from coming to a cleanup. And like Lucy said in the video, you know, the original plan was, okay, so we're going to take a couple of months and we're going to collect all this debris, and then we're going to really have her do the sculpture. And fortunately or unfortunately, however you want to look at it, the majority of the trash that she has used for this sculpture was collected at our first cleanup, and that was March 31st. We had these huge, huge Rubbermaid bins, and we had filled about 16 of them in less than 2 hours. So that just kind of gives you some perspective, and that's just one cleanup. That's not, you know, the 12 cleanups that we have or whatever we're not picking up. So it's just something to think about as well. But at our cleanups, we normally have a top 5 or a top 10, and cigarette butts and single-use plastics are always in those top 5 and top 10. And so I just ask all of you to, when you see the sculpture and just what we've said here today, to really think about what you're using at home and just the impact that you make just as one individual. Think about just eliminating those straws. It's not just this funny trend. It really is an issue. And you may think that eliminating straws isn't going to make a dent. Well, no, but it's a start. And don't think that we're not going to come after those plastic cups or plastic cutlery after we are done with the straws, because we will. And all you got to do is get some fun, nifty straws and keep them in your purse like I do, and be a total nerd when you're out at the bar and just bring those out. Wherever Linda is, I've given her one. I told her we're going to make her stop with the straws. So anyway, sorry, Linda. But I just ask all of you to think about the individual impact that you make and try to make some changes there. And I ask you to come to our beach cleanups. I promise you we'll be open-minded. We can have a conversation about it, but I know you'll change your mind of the way that you look at things if you come to a cleanup. All it takes is one cleanup. So before we move into the hallway for the unveiling, I want to give a many thanks to everyone that was involved. So here it goes. So we obviously want to thank the Chesapeake Bay Trust for allowing us this amazing opportunity and giving us this funding. The National Aquarium for being our mentors and just being a great mentor to me in general over the last couple of years. Obviously, Lucy, we wouldn't be able to do this without her. Jack and Tracy Wilson, they allowed us to house the sculpture and let Lucy use their shop to build the sculpture over the last couple of months. And obviously our board members, John Weed and Lauren Kerwin. And we have several people that helped with the sculpture in one way or another, and I'm just going to read their names. We have Bernadine and Butch Lichleader, Patty McCool, who, as you heard in the video, she collaborated with Lucy to ideate the sculpture concept. Tom Garvey, Patrick Perry, Drew Schwartz, all of our QACPS interns, and I want to point out Morgan Flegel and Faith McCarthy. They had gone out with Lucy and helped her clean debris. We also have Mary McCarthy, which is Faith's mom. We have Sarah Shelley from Plastic Free QAC. Plastic Free QAC, I'm so happy about. They are now another organization in the county that is helping us fight for a plastic-free Queen Anne's County. Jean Berry, Monica Hawes, Cheryl Jaros, Kathy and Don Trotter, Karen Sutter, who, by the way, used to be a board member. She was actually one of our first board members. Karen Harling Bowling, Alex Sabot, Jackie Goslin, Fast Signs in Annapolis. And one thing I want to point out, when you guys see these pop-up banners, my board member Lauren and I worked tirelessly to try to get and find a local Queen Anne's County business to help make these banners. And we learned a lot about pop-up banners. We thought, being in sales, like this was easy. We just give them information, they'll put it on the banner. Doesn't work that way. They were like, no, these are too colorful, they're too busy. And we were like, we're determined to find somebody that's going to make this happen to showcase every bit of information that we wanted. And Fast Signs in Annapolis got that done for us. Obviously, the Queen Anne's County Board of Ed, Dr. Kane, Michael Page, and Jeff Straight, and all of our community members and volunteers who help us each year in collecting the garbage from our local beaches and parks and making QACPS what we are today. Thank you so very much. Please don't forget that our sculpture will start its tour throughout the Queen Anne's County Public Schools on Monday, October the 8th, and will conclude on March 1st, 2019. The tour will go through all 8 elementary schools, 4 middle schools, and 2 of our high schools. If you in this room, or if you know someone, or if you want to house our sculpture at your local business, please contact us and we'll make it happen after the March 1st date. Lucy and our hope is that this will eventually make its way to the National Aquarium, because the National Aquarium is actually, they are one of the first aquariums that will be eliminating all of their single-use plastic at their cafeterias over the next couple of years. So we feel like, why not make this happen that way? We're actively looking for other areas for our sculpture to live, so if you know anyone, please let us know. And lastly, just a little, I just want to point this out, we rescheduled our International Coastal Cleanup for Saturday, October 27th because of Hurricane Florence that never came. So we hope you can come out for that cleanup, because that's always an amazing event, and that will conclude our 2018 season. So thank you all. And now we'll make our way to the hallway.
Okay, sounds good. Oh, yeah. Are you kidding? I was on this ladder when I was working on it. Okay, are we ready? Yes. Okay, I say 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 6. So
Is it on three or after?
Okay. Okay, we're ready.
You have to shoot over your leg. You're good? You're good? Okay, good. Everyone is good.
We haven't practiced this, by the way.
It's never as graceful as you want it to be. Just drop it.
Wow.
You all can get closer and look at it and everything is in place.
Hi.
See, I told you she wouldn't know you knocked it over before they came out.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So you kind of have to walk around it a little bit, but, and I think we
God. I feel like pictures.
Love the rock fish. It was the he needs to be pulled back a little bit. I know, Miss OCD.
All right, so how many items are in there?
Excuse me?
How many items are there?
How many items?
Oh, yeah, we counted.
That's a good question. I didn't count them up. But if you walk around it, so a couple things that you probably wouldn't know. The crabs here, for example, were cut out of the side of a antifreeze bottle, and then the claws are made out of shotgun shell casings. So this horseshoe crab is made from a styrofoam flower pot, and it's supposed, instead of being convex, it's concave because the top of the flower pot goes in that direction. The rubber ducky, of course, with the plastic around his neck is in this, I mean, everything here was found on the beach. The waterman's gloves were found on the beach too, and that's how we created the many hands. And the forearms on some of them are fireworks containers that were found on the beach. There on the back, once you can look at the back of it, there's a angelfish. Let me fix it. An angelfish made out of a Libman dust pan, and the bails of the angelfish are actually plastic bait bags to create the veiling. The starfish is carved out of compressed styrofoam that we found on the beach, and you'll note if you look close, it's covered with cigarette butts that we also found. So there's another starfish back here. There's a crab bucket back here that has the flower of straws in it. Somebody's cheerleader shoe. I don't even want to know how that ended up buried on the beach. There are, right. There are flip-flops kind of marching up the side.
I love the Easter basket.
The Easter basket is one of my favorites, especially the sad face.
I found that.
Yes.
You
just- yes.
bottle. That's funny. You actually found
Oh, yeah.
And Faith actually helped assemble that basket for me, which is awesome. If you look inside, you'll see there are a number of jellyfish that, if you look up close, you can see Starbucks labels and Royal Farms labels and that sort of thing. If you look down inside, there are corals made out of styrofoam and shotgun shell casings. There's another one of my favorite. One of my other favorite elements is on the back is can we turn it?
Yeah, a little bit.
So the eagle ray is, and all the marine life are indigenous to the Chesapeake Bay. So the eagle ray, the wings of the eagle ray are made out of landscaping buckets, cut out of the side so that they turn up. And the rest of, obviously the spots are made out of bottle caps, and his head is made out of black bottle caps, and the tail is a bungee cord.
Oh my God.
And
I remember the shoe.
Those were all found on the beach. We have the happy birthday balloon, the Mylar balloon, and if you look inside, there's Safeway bags and Walgreen bags, and those were all found in the beach. What else? Somebody's hairbrush, that shoe, we had to dig that out. There's a Bud Light bottle there. There's a fishing net here. The rockfish is made out of 3 different compressed styrofoam buoys. So the front, the face part is a separate buoy. The body is a larger buoy. The curved tail part as he's jumping out of the water is a rubber inner tube from a tire. And the very last, the tail fin, I think that's called a caudal fin, for my biology people that know, is a kayak paddle. And the other fins are made out of egg crates, plastic egg crates. Again, all of it, every piece of it was found on the beach. He has a fishing line on his one fin and the net on his tail fin to show, you know, how we often see our marine life entangled in that kind of debris. There's a orange, excuse me?
Life jacket.
There's an orange life jacket back here. There are some buoys. Somebody might recognize the number of their buoy on them. And then we'll know who is littering. Fishing rod. My son wanted to know the reel, wherever the other reel, oh, over here there's a reel, and he said, Mom, is that a Penrod reel? I think he wanted to take it. Oh, wait, okay, so the concept artist that we talked about, Patty McCool.
Yay.
Come here, Patty. So Patty is the one who came up with the concept over drinks one night. She said, I have an idea. Picture this, and she described it to me, and I said, oh my gosh, that's perfect, that's it, that's what we're doing. So, thank you.
How many hours did it take?
I don't know, I didn't really add them up.
3 or 4?
A few hours. It was over 6 months of time.
In a lot of hot weather.
And it was a long hot summer.
And it was a long, hot summer. It was hot. It was fun, though. I think the coolest part for me is like Kristin read, the 22 people that came out to help. You know, everybody just kind of embraced this project. And I felt badly. I couldn't even accommodate all the people that wanted to come out and help because it was complicated to try to arrange my schedule and their schedule and get everybody out there. And I know that there were a lot of other people that really wanted to get out and didn't get a chance to get out there. But that's the part for me that was the best, is that you know, people just embraced it. And then the cool thing is when we started posting things on social media, everybody started reposting that stuff and reposting it, and then I was getting them reposting stuff to us, you know, that they had found about how to recycle materials, debris, and things we could do for the environment. So I feel like it really, the sculpture did exactly what we intended it to do. Was
Somebody will get it. Yeah. I know I was gonna like crouch on the ground.